Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wild Chat Facts. Today's episode is going to be all about birds. I'm Ryan. That over there is Maria. What's going on, Mar?
Well, I was flocking around looking for bird facts, and I was so amazed at the variety of angles you can take with
Mm-hmm.
birds. Because there's some birds that don't fly, some birds that do swim, some birds that stay for 6 months up in the air, and it's just so much fun to choose Basically, I could have done probably 5 videos out of birds and
Yes.
each bird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And we
today I
might.
decided, huh?
And we might. Who knows?
Like I love crows, as you can see I'm wearing one, or ravens, and I try to stay away from too many raven facts because we should do a video about ravens and crows. So
Mhm.
but I decided to focus on my first thing to share with you guys is urban versus country. Like, remember
Okay.
the welcome. So urban
Like rural
birds,
versus city kind of thing.
yes, like the mice, urban versus
Okay.
city.
Okay. All right.
Well, birds who live in the city, they actually perform something called the avian rap. And the avian rap is not a punch 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 type of thing. They actually do short and fast songs, while the rural counterparts, they do slow melodies. And it's also found that their brains are way more interconnected, so they're actually smarter because they have to learn to deal with so many things: cars, predators, living
Mm.
situations. So they actually ramp up their intelligence.
So there's like bird ADD. They had to shorten up their songs because their attention spans all over the place. Okay. All right. All right.
Yes.
City bird ADD, everybody. It is a thing. I decided to start with a little bit of irony. I just thought this was fun. Bluebirds, which is a species of birds, not birds that are the color blue, but bluebirds, the species, actually can't see the color blue. I just thought that was kind of ironic. Couldn't help myself.
That is awesome. Uh, so this is really cool how animals work with other animals to create a symbiotic relationship. And some birds will actually grab ants and place them in their on their own feathers because ants are amazing hunters, and they will spray also formic acid as they clean.
Mhm.
They spray formic acid and will actually eradicate parasites. So it's a nice way for the birds to keep their feathers clean. But another cool fact is that feathers actually weigh more than the bird's skeleton.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have something. Basically, it's the shape of the wing that actually allows birds to fly because the feathers are heavy. And the first people to figure that out and use it was actually the Australian Aborigines. And that's how the boomerang came about. They noticed birds, the shapes of their wings, and the fact that that's because they angle them in a certain way. Everything we see on an airplane basically is taken from that also. But the Aborigines were the first ones to figure it out, and that's how they invented the boomerang. That's where the concept came from. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So I mentioned earlier about the variety of birds we have in the world. Well, penguins are extremely unique, not only because they're adorable and how they slide through the ice, but they're the only bird who can swim but not fly, and also can walk upright. So it has several characteristics that
Mhm.
only penguins have. And they are some of the fastest swimming birds. One in particular, one of the breeds that is the fastest of all the penguins is the Gento penguin, who can swim up to 22 miles per hour.
And
That's
the
pretty fast.
important part in the Ginto penguin community, guys, is not how fast you swim, as long as you swim faster than the guy next to you when the shark comes after you. That's the only part that really matters. Don't be the slowest of the Ginto penguins, because I think sharks can swim even faster than their top speed. So,
Oh gosh, yes.
yes. So Maria went with the animals that help each other as far as cleaning feathers and stuff like that. I'm going to go with a little bird on bird crime instead. The Egyptian vultures have actually been known to use stones to smash ostrich eggs. So, yes, tool using animals I always love on this show because I think we don't realize when we think of a tool, we think of like a shovel or a wrench or but a lot of animals are tool users in the sense that they can use rocks and other things for breaking, moving, smoothing, uh, courtship,
Anything.
lots of other
Mhm.
stuff like that. So there are actually interesting uses out there in the animal world, especially when you start talking about birds and like Bowery birds and the nests they build to attract mates and all that other good stuff. So,
And it's
birds
so
like
cool because when you talk about the largest bird, that will be the ostrich. And one of the myths is that the ostrich hides his head under the sand, but that's actually not true. When the ostriches build their nests in the ground, they actually tilt their head to turn the eggs. And that's why they look like they're actually getting their heads down, but they're not. It's just
But
a
in a
perception.
situation of fear, too, they're known to actually put their head to the ground. They're not putting it in the ground, but that is and I think it might be because they're listening for vibrations or whatever it is that they're doing. So they do have a head to the ground movement when they are afraid, but I think it's more of an analytical thing. But they also do it for, like Maria said, for the eggs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, okay, since we're myth busting, it's something that has to get cleared up, guys. You are allowed to handle a baby bird. You shouldn't most of the time. Usually, just let them be. There's probably a reason why they're at where they're at, but it will not cause the mama bird or the papa bird to reject the bird. And then we've got the myth of the rice and the weddings. It will not make a bird explode, but it's also not very good for them because rice, along with bread and stuff, actually puffs up, so it fills their stomachs. So then they don't seek out the food they actually need for nutrition. So it's bad for them, just not in the way that we think it's bad for them. But you still don't
It's
want to
going to
put rice.
expand, but not explode.
Yes, exactly. But then they're not, then they're full. And we talked about this in the duck video also, where feeding bread and any kind of grains, it's not part of their nutrition. And then they're full. So they don't go, they're not like humans where they get bored and they just eat because they're bored. Like they eat when they feel hungry. And once they don't feel hungry, they stop.
Good point. Now, using tools, you mentioned they throw rocks. Well, some birds of prey will actually grab a turtle, go up in the sky, and drop it against a rock. So they
Mhm.
use tools, and there have been observations of birds, also ravens in I think it was Japan. They see crows throwing seeds that are really hard to open and near the cars so that the tires will flatten them.
Mm.
That's another way they use tools, if you think
Okay.
about it.
Interesting.
Or they're using what's around them, basically.
Mm-hmm. So when we were talking about, we didn't do the tree video here. We did the tree video in Undiscovered Worlds, which very well could have gone here because it was very nature. It is trees, of course. But then we're gonna do an animals in trees and animals that like trees and stuff video later here. So we split them up. But we were talking about the mangroves over there and how the mangroves can grow in salt water. It's one of the only trees that can grow in salt water. Well, seagulls can actually drink salt water. Um, because they have a special gland that basically filters out the salt. So there's other animals that are mammals or birds that you wouldn't think would be able to drink salt water, but they are equipped with a way of filtering that, so they end up with just pure water at the end of it.
And speaking also of the amazing capabilities of some birds, there is the Kia parrot. The Kia parrot is one of the largest parrots that can be found in New Zealand. And what makes the Kia parrot so amazing is because it's the world's only alpine parrot, and they also call them the clown of the Alps because, but not the Alps as in Europe, the Alps in New
Mm-hmm.
Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
because they're so vociferous and they play around, and they have been classified recently, heralded, which is even better than classified, as the world's smartest bird. The intelligent is rival to a monkey. That's how smart there are, and they're like the Institute of Cognitive Biology in Vienna has regarded them as the smartest bird. But also in New Zealand, the problem that happened with them is they also hunt for sheep. And so they were almost hunted to extinction because they're that mischievous and they attack sheep. And anyway, so if you ever go to New Zealand, be careful with your car windows because they will also remove the strips of rubber. They're just, we
Mm-hmm.
actually did a video in Undiscovered Worlds where we talk about the Kia, and we actually show videos of them stealing camera lenses. And so
Mm-hmm.
look for it, it's there. It's just so fascinating.
And the nice thing is because of their intelligence and their tool use, they're actually the best animals at putting together Furniture. So if you buy furniture in pieces, you have to assemble. That's how they got their name, the Kia Parrot. That's no, I'm just kidding. None of that was true that I said. All of Maria's stuff was true. Mine was just being silly. Um, all right, let's see. Oh, we talked about the boomerangs. Maria, there's something called the bald eagle in the United States, and they're pretty popular. They're pretty rare. They're symbols of the country. They're not
Wow.
bald. How did they get this name, Maria? Well, the reason they got the name is apparently there's something called piebald. Never heard of this, guys. But piebald is when kind of the feathers are different colors. So like their head is white. So basically piebald black and white is not because they don't have any feathers. It's because they have like that white head feathers and that contrast to their body. That's considered piebald. I think we need to rename them.
Yeah, because I thought bold came from smart. So they
no,
were
bald.
bald.
Bald, not bold. Bald. Like
Wow.
like Ryan's hairline going bye bald. That's that kind
Oh, that kind of bald.
yes, they're called bald eagles, like got no hair eagles, but they got hair, so it was always confusing to people. Yes.
There's actually a poisonous bird. Who would have thought that there is actually a bird that if you touch their feathers, they're poisonous? And it's called the pituhui bird. And the skin and feathers are actually, they can cause numbness and tingling. So be careful. I don't know where this bird is from. I didn't search it. I was just so perplexed by how poisonous they are that pituhui bird.
Okay. All right. So just for FYI, guys, if you guys know the Canary Islands, and then there's canary birds, like canary in the coal mine.
Mhm.
Miners used to take the canaries in there, and if they passed out, they would know that there was some kind of gas leak, and it was like a safety thing for the coal miners. But those same canary birds, the the birds were named after the islands, not the other way around. So basically, the Canary
Mhm.
Islands, and then name the birds. But if you ever want to give a canary a Halloween costume, there's a fun little trick you can use. If you feed canaries red peppers, it will actually turn them orange. So you can, and that happens with humans. Like I've seen, like the people that are
That's
blue,
awesome.
people that eat way too much carrots, their skin turns orange. Like if you just take in too much of a certain nutrient, it will
Uh-huh.
start to turn like human skin colors. But apparently, you can do it with
Well, it's the
birds.
same thing with flowers. If you give them certain dyes, food dyes, then they will turn colors.
Mm-hmm.
But
Also,
I
the
actually just researched where the pituhui bird is from, and it's endemic
okay.
of the islands of New Guinea. Because I felt bad that I didn't give you the location. So next time you go, they almost look like an oriole, which is orange and black. So they almost look like an oriole. So be careful.
Orange and black. Have you? Did they have like leftover Halloween Oreos at your market? Like, how does orange and black look like an Oreo to you?
Yes. Well, I don't know. Isn't there a football team called the Orioles?
Oh, Oreos. I thought you were saying Oreos like the cookie. And then I'm thinking orange and black. And they do that for Halloween. They dye the inside
I was
orange.
wondering if you said
Uh-huh.
that because of orange and black, not because of the
Right.
Oreo cookies.
Yes. Anybody else out there that heard what I heard, please comment because I want to make sure I was not the only one
No,
that heard
I
Yeah.
probably did make it sound like Oreo cookies, but it's
Okay.
Oreos.
Yeah, it could just be that I'm hungry also. So who knows? Who knows? Um, all right, let's see.
Oh, it's my turn. I have
Is it
something.
your turn? You just gave up the Oreo cookies.
That was because okay, that was just adding to a previous
No,
fact.
go ahead. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Mar.
Sorry, guys. Well, you can tell we really are enjoying this video. That we're like, no, it's my turn to talk.
Yes, you haven't even mentioned the chicken behind you yet. I was waiting for you to tie that into a chicken fact at some point, but I think you forgot it's back there.
Dude, I didn't even remember that I have a chicken in the back. That is always there, by the way. But
Yeah.
Native Americans, they actually did not like to eat turkey. They didn't actually eat it because they thought the birds were too slow. So if you hunted one, it was actually a sign of laziness. So they actually didn't
Yes.
hunt them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. So there are something called fieldfare birds. These guys are not only the evil, they're also vindictively evil. So these birds have a special way of attacking enemy birds. They basically gang up on them in such a way that they fly them into the ground. So if there's an enemy bird, they can kind of encase them and just start angling towards the ground, and then the bird can't really get out of the enclosure of all the other birds, and they drive them into the ground. And that's not like the worst part. Then what they do is they fly back into the air, and then they start dropping poop on the bird. After they've driven him into the ground, then out of their misery, they then poop on them on their way back up into the air. So
What's the name of that bird so we don't cross it?
fieldfare, which sounds so kind, a fieldfare bird. Like, oh, that's so, no.
So fair.
Evil, vindictive little buggers.
Ravens have been known, and crows have been known for being, they remember things. They remember who hurt them. They're super family oriented, but they also will hold grudges. So if you did something wrong to one of the family members for generations, you will forever be remembered. And every time you cross the park, they're going to attack you. But they also do reconcile with members of their own species if there was a fight. And they do it not because, oh, we want to be friends. No, it's because they actually avoiding future conflict in the long run is an evolutionary good thing, because it allows animals to continue working as a group. So they're pretty smart.
I don't have this one written down, but since we were talking about the birds pooping, I'm going to bring it back from the snake video, guys. If you're sick of birds pooping on your car, if you put a fake snake on top of your car, they're scared of snakes, so they'll actually avoid your car. And then if you really want to mess with the guy at the car wash, just leave it on there so he can wonder why the heck there is a fake snake taped to the top of your car. And then
if you wonder why it got lost, they probably just pressure clean it away.
So that's a little fun bird hack for you there if you're sick of your car getting pooped on.
So I have a controversy or a contrarian situation going on here.
Okay.
When you think of a vulture, you think of an animal that will literally eat carrion and they're the perfect trash pickers. They will eat anything that is decomposing. Well, there is actually a vulture that is vegetarian. So this bird of prey is called the palm nut vulture, and it feeds mainly on fruit husks of the oil palm and the palm trus and the raffia palm, which is used for furniture. These fruits make up to 60% of the diet, and it breeds in forests and savannas. So if you want to know where you can find these amazing animals, in the sub-Sahara Africa. They're usually near water, and they coincide with, of course, those palms. They're very approachable, like many African vultures, and can be seen near habitations, near hotel lawns, touristic areas. So if you go to Gambia next time, you may see one of these palm nut vultures. They seem beautiful. The pictures are just gorgeous.
Okay.
And gigantic.
Here's one for you. What do you call it when a vulture or any other animal that eats dead carcasses takes their food with them? What's that called, Maria?
Carry on.
Carry on, carry out, Maria. Carry on, carry out. That's what it's called.
Carry on dog dash. So instead of DoorDash, this is carry on dash.
So I don't know if I have this percentage right, guys, but there is a general rule, and it's basically birds are the opposite of dogs. So we've talked about previously, the bigger a dog is, usually the less years it lives. Like your really big dog sometimes are only 7, 8, 9 years, where a lot of like your terriers and your longer lived dogs are usually smaller dogs. With birds, it's the opposite. The larger the bird, the more likely it is that they're longer lived animals. The percentage I found, I don't know if I believe it. I didn't get to verify it. I will give it to you, but this isn't verified. But the fact said that 75% of wild birds live for less than a year. To me, that seems really short, but the gist of the fact that remains is still that the larger the bird, the longer it lives. So that's the key part here.
Yeah, because you will think some animals take up like some time to hit maturity for them to reproduce. And I know vultures in general, they take like a year or two to even start the reproduction process. So some of them take forever to even hit maturity. But again, those are the larger birds.
Yeah. And also, we're talking wild birds and lifespans. We're not saying that that's their natural lifespan.
Exactly.
Smaller birds hit more windows, unfortunately, and have more incidences out in the world because there's just so many of them also. I mean, we've talked about this before in the deer video. The most dangerous mammal to humans in North America are deers, not because they're super duper dangerous. There's just so many of them. They're comfortable around humans and they get entangled in car accidents and stuff very frequently, which is what makes them the most dangerous. So, I mean,
Exactly.
the most dangerous animal in the world is a mosquito. They're not vicious, but there's a lot of them and they carry diseases. So it's kind of along the same lines.
Yeah. Now, there is something really cool called a bird called the honey guide. And the honey guide has been seen taking humans to beehives. And the reason why they're doing that is not because they're being kind and they want to share the sweetness aroma of the hive, but what they want is they want to feast on the larva. So they want to feast on the larva as the humans take the honey. So as we scrape the honey, we expose the where they keep their larva growing and their babies and the eggs. And so these honey guide birds are really happy guiding humans there.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a benefit. Unless it's your pet for the most part, the animal's going to get some benefit out. But animals do that too. We just literally just talked about in the turtle video how turtles will lay their eggs in alligator nests because alligators are such good parents. I mean, there's going to be a mutual benefit out of it for them to do it.
Even though alligators eat turtles, but go figure.
But if they don't know it's a turtle egg that they're sitting on, then they're ever so kind.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, we've talked about this in a lot of different videos, but I'm going to bring it up here again because it is the bird fact video. But we always wonder, birds actually sleep, and they sleep while they're standing, essentially. And the reason that is they have a tendon that basically locks their foot closed that allows them to keep a grip on the wire. And there's that kind of famous thumbnail out there where all the birds are on the electrical wire, and there's the one that's upside down, and he's still hanging on there. It's basically for exactly that reason. Like that tendon is locked in. He just must have had a little wiggle room within there, so his claw is still closed, but he was upside down.
We posted that photo. We mentioned it a while ago, so it should be in Patreon. One of the earlier videos, I posted that photo.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere over there. But there is a very sad life of pigeons. Pigeons have had such misfortune because they're animals who are very social. They live together in clusters. You see them in parks. You see them everywhere. And they are called the rats of the sky or rats with wings. And the problem is, it's not the pigeons' fault that they're now in cities. They were not meant to be there. They're called the rock pigeons. Those are the ones that you see that are gray. The males are really puffy and they have like rings on their neck. Those are called rock pigeons. And they're meant to live in rocky areas. Yes. But when they were brought and used by the Europeans for carrying messages and many other things because they're super directionally adapt, then they became a nuisance literally around the world. But unfortunately, it's not their fault.
I think that's the part that's interesting. There used to be so many messenger pigeons around, and now they're extinct. Like the actual species of messenger pigeon was so prevalent, it was ridiculous because they were good at delivering from place to place, and they knew where they were going, obviously before there was telegraphs and stuff like that. But can you ever imagine, like right now in our world, pigeons going extinct? There's so many of them, they're a nuisance, and then they go extinct. But they were used, especially like during the Depression and stuff. People would actually hunt them for food and stuff like that. So there was just kind of that perfect circumstance and situation where all of a sudden, they were used less, they were hunted more, and that's where they ended up.
It's a sad life.
It is. Okay, let's see. I thought this was really weird and super interesting. So, certain species of woodpeckers can have tongues that are up to 4 inches long, which is longer than kind of their mouth space for the most part. So, it actually stores the tongue by curling it in, and it sticks it through a specialized opening in the back of their neck, like in the skeleton, because if your tongue is within your skeleton, so you'd have to get
like
it
a
out.
tape measure.
Basically, yeah. And they stick it out the back of their neck, and then it sits between their skull and their skin. And that's how they store their tongue, basically.
So imagine putting a tape measure like right there.
I just, there's like a special hole in their skull built in where they can tuck their tongue out of their head and into that space between. I just thought that was super weird.
That is incredible.
Never heard anything like that before.
Wow. Now, if you ever get lost in the woods and you see birds eating different berries and you're like, oh, maybe I can eat it. No, 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 no. No touchy. No touchy, no touchy, because birds can actually eat berries that are highly poisonous to us humans. So be aware of that. You're better off following to see what another creature like a mammal is eating. And even then, you got to be careful. So
Yes.
if you get lost in the woods, there are techniques that you can do, like you can rub the fruit on your hand if you don't have a reaction on the sensitive area of your arm. If you're not sensitive, then you can rub it near the lips, but don't eat it until you wait 15 minutes at least to make sure you're not sensitive before you eat it. So don't follow birds.
And there's also, birds are funky too because they'll eat the berries and stuff off the ground, and after they've been on the ground for a while, they fermented, and there's actually stories of like drunk flocks of birds that have like messed with towns and stuff. I'm not joking, guys. This is a serious thing. And I'm not joking about this either. There is actually a bird species that barks like a dog instead of singing, and it is called the Antpitta avis canis wrigley, and it was discovered in the Ecuadorian Andes in 1998. So very recently, barking birds.
Love it! Because I know mockingbirds can actually fake sounds. There are other birds who listen to sounds and they will repeat them. Like if they hear chainsaws cutting trees, then they actually can repeat it.
Yes.
Well, some birds in the rainforest, and this is amazing when you were talking about traveling and migration in different videos, and you mentioned about scientists used to think birds will actually go to the moon or under the ocean to hibernate. Well, they actually are noticing that birds travel like from South America all the way to Canada in the summer, and other birds can stay up in the air. The alpine swift can stay and fly for over 6 months without landing once.
I think it's an Arctic heron. I'm not sure, but one of them actually goes from pole to pole. They go like South Pole to North Pole and back. So they're like the longest traveled bird in the entire world. I do have a couple trivia questions I wanted to get to real quick, more for the audience, guys. So basically, if you don't know, guys, what we do, we like to round out some of the shows with kind of Jeopardy style. We'll ask some questions. You guys see if you can yell at the screen the proper answer. We'll give some hints to Marmar if she can't figure it out. We'll see where we end up. But the most common bird on the planet, Maria, and if you do know the answer, please give everybody in the crowd like at least 15 seconds to answer. If you don't know the answer, you can go ahead and just start talking your way through it and see if you can come up with the most common bird on the planet.
I will think 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, a chicken. Sorry, guys.
That's why I kept talking, because I knew you were going to do that. I'm like, I'm going to babble for 5 more seconds because I know Maria's going to answer instantly. Yes.
No.
Yes, it is the chicken. And I have another follow-up question for everybody out there. Which animal can lay claim to having the longest feathers ever recorded? This is like one individual animal. So like Guinness Book of World Records style here. Not like a whole species.
I mean, if I'm going to talk about, I don't know the critter, but if I'm going to talk about a species, I will think it's either an ostrich with their tail or the peacock, but I wouldn't know who.
All right, everybody. The answer, again, is the chicken. A chicken.
The Japanese chicken.
Chicken in Japan has tail feathers. One particular chicken that measured 34.7 feet long. That is about 10.59 meters for everybody on the other system.
We did a video. I recorded, guys, a video about chickens, and it was literally all about chickens, and that was one of those chickens. So as soon as you said it wasn't neither one of those.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Do us a favor and please click the subscribe button if you haven't already. We really, really do appreciate it. For the Patreon subscribers, we are going to jump on over and do the after show. I always do it there, but I want to do it here. I really want to thank the Patreon subscribers. You guys are a big reason why we're able to keep doing this show. A little bit goes a long way when it's a whole lot of people, and I hope you guys are enjoying the extra bonus content. For the non-subscribers, you can get in on all the conversations and all that over there. But we also do after shows and like extra material that you can check out. We do like a monthly Q&A that we're going to start up pretty soon. We're going to do kind of after shows, live shows. So you'll have a little bit more of an opportunity to interact with us. And in the after shows, we get to be ourselves a little bit more. We don't have to kind of structure a show for like a wide audience. We know we're already talking to people that watch the show and appreciate it and subscribe. So we kind of get to let our hair down and have a little more fun over there. So if you guys want to check it out, what we might do is do one of the behind the scenes show like free. Maybe we'll do it just so you guys can get a feel for kind of what we do over there.
We have one. We have episode 14.
Okay. All right. The first one might be interesting also. That was a little babbly, but
that was it.
A good, okay. Oh, that's right. It took us a while to get into the after shows. So that's us more setting up where the show came from. Maybe we'll do one more just to give you like a general consensus on what it is. But again, I did always thank you guys over there, but I want to thank you here in a public setting because it really is because of the Patreon subscribers that we are able to keep doing this show. And we really, really do appreciate it because we enjoy doing the show, and we hope that we can get it out to other people that enjoy it as much as we do. If you guys have just seen the fact videos, check out the funny video clip videos too. They're absolutely hilarious. Thank you guys so much. Patreon subscribers, we're going to see you in about 30 seconds. We're jumping over now. Everybody else, we'll see you next time.